If you think that private money lending is risky, it's usually not the deal that gets people hurt. It's what happens after something goes wrong and they realizes the lender didn't have enough protection. Most losses don't come from bad borrowers. They come from optimistic underwriting and undefined rules. Smart lenders don't assume everything will go right. They assume something will go wrong and they structure for it before they wire $1. My name is Chaim Aman Palman. I've been in real estate for over a decade, buying rentals, wholesaling houses, flipping houses in the San Francisco Bay Area, and now mostly I do private money loans. 2 years ago, I funded a deal that looked great on paper. Solid borrower, good asset, clean after repair value. The numbers were not the problem. The market shifted, the borrower was overexposed over multiple projects, cash flow tightened, and he couldn't finish the job. That's when protection stopped being theoretical. I had to start the foreclosure process. And what saved me wasn't optimism or trust, it was my underwriting and my paperwork. The rules I'm going to walk you through today specifically exist because I lived it. They are designed for what happens after things go wrong, not when everything goes right. That's what this video is all about. In the last video, we talked about position, setting your rules before the deal shows up. This is video 2 in the series, the protect phase. Not how to chase ROI, not how to trust your gut, not how to hope the borrower performs. This is how professional lenders reduce risk through systems. Smart lenders don't protect themselves with hope. They protect themselves through math, documents, and insurance. Protection isn't one thing, it's a stack. Each layer assumes the one above it. You miss one layer and you are exposed. This is why I don't negotiate protection. I rather pass on a deal than hope for the best. If your ARV is wrong, your LTV is fake. Smart lenders look at 3 important factors. They're looking at the active, they're looking at sold, and they're looking at pending listings on the MLS. Why? Because sold tells you what actually happened, pending tells you where the market is going, and active listing tells you what I'm competing against. And a general rule of thumb is to stay below 65% loan to value. Sometimes I will go to 70%, but in most cases I want to be below 65% loan to value to be protected. The ARV tells me what's the value of the property when it's fully renovated. So if my loan to value is 65% and my ARV it's 220, that means that I can give a maximum loan amount of $130,000. The difference, the delta that I have, is the margin. The margin is my protection. The LTC or the loan to cost tells me how much I can go wrong. Skin in the game tells me how motivated the borrower will be to stay in the deal. If the borrower runs out of money before I do, then I'm exposed. One habit or rule that I follow is that I will never fund a deal if the borrower doesn't feel the pain before me. If you want the exact checklist that I use to determine my loan to value, my loan to cost, skin in the game, etc., I linked it in the description below. The next layer that I'm looking at is the rehab. When I look at rehab costs and estimate, I'm not looking at creativity. I don't care about creativity. I'm looking for certainty. Me personally, I don't fund heavy rehabs. No major construction and no structural work. That's me. If the deal depends on perfect execution, I'm out. This deal is not for me. I request a lot of photos and video walkthrough of the property because this helps me understand what's the real condition of the property and what's the amount of work needed to bring it to after repair value. It's also important to me to know if this is a retail grade rehab, because retail grade rehab requires retail grade experience, and if it's a rental grade rehab, it requires a rental grade experience. So when the scope of work and the budget don't match, that's a red flag for me. And lastly, I'm always scanning for landmines. 1. Foundation issues or big ticket items, any major deferred maintenance, and anything that potentially can turn a cosmetic rehab to a structural one. I want to make sure there is enough margin for errors because errors always happens when there is a rehab. So I want to see that there is a contingency built into the budget to make sure that the borrower is protected and my capital is protected. This isn't about optimism. It's about execution in the real world. The next layer for protection is title. You always want to work with a title company to handle the closing process or with a closing attorney, depending on which states you operate. You always want to get a lender's title policy because you want to make sure there's no liens against the property, there's no loans, there's not anything that can cloud title, because you want to make sure when you record the deed of trust or the mortgage, you are in first position. Because if you are not in first position and you need to foreclose on the property and take it back, you're gonna face issues. The next layer of protection is insurance. If the house burns down tomorrow, who gets paid first? So if you are not listed and added on the policy as loss payee, you are not protected. This isn't optional. This is a must for me in order for me to fund the deal. And make sure that the loan amount coverage protects at least your loan amount. The next layer for protection, and probably one of the most important ones, is the lender's docs, is the paperwork. Paperwork doesn't stop the problems. It actually decides who has the leverage when problem arise. I don't use template that I use online. I actually work with an attorney, real estate attorney, specializes and based in the state that I'm doing the deal, to draft the documents for me. Because when things will go sideways, I don't need opinions, I need enforceability. And paperwork isn't real unless they are done professionally and correctly. Every document that I have for the borrowers is signed, notarized, and recorded with the county. No record, no protection. That's why especially the deed of trust or the mortgage, this is the document that you have to record with the county. If it's not recorded, it's not existent when it matters. The paperwork doesn't prevent default. Default can happen and may happen. The paperwork determines who controls the outcome when default happens. This is real leverage. So this is how smart lenders protect the capital. They have a system to protect their capital. The value risk, execution risk, priority, and leverage. This is how lenders sleep at night. Not because nothing goes wrong, but because they are prepared when it does. If you want the Protect checklist before I fund every deal, check it in the link below. And in the next video, we're gonna talk about cash flow, how smart lenders structures returns without risk. Subscribe and you're not gonna miss it.